Hi, you guys. So, let's take a deep breath in and out together. Om Namah Shivaya, and welcome to a new episode of the Gyan Dive. Today's episode is going to be a little different, and I know that I've been saying that for a lot of the past videos that I've been recording, but what can I say? It's just a time in my life where I'm going through a lot of changes and a lot of realizations that come along the way. And I think this is a platform for me to express those revelations to you guys. Not revelations to you guys. And also see what we can all learn from it. So as you know, these episodes are not only for you guys, but they're also for me and my inner child. So I'm not following my usual script, and it's not going to be perfect. This is a messy, imperfect episode, and that's completely okay. And that's actually the whole point of what we're going to talk about today. Because sometimes the most profound lessons don't come from ancient texts, but they come from your own experience and just your own realizations. And for that, you have to sit with yourself, which I did. And I was planning on having a topic that I talked about, but I decided to say, it's okay, I'm just gonna go with it. And you'll see that that is the entire point of this episode. So, I've realized something lately. Life is not that deep, you guys. And it sounds simple. I feel like a lot of people have talked about that. And it may even sound dismissive of what people are going through, or even myself, but this is for me and all of you. Stay with me here. It's okay not to take yourself so seriously sometimes. I've lived on both sides of this coin, and the contrast has been one of the greatest teachers for me. So, let me take you back to a moment where I felt my happiest, my most fulfilled, and where I felt like I was the most me. Like I was authentically myself, 100%. It was for the people who know me, they know this, but it was during a 20-day study abroad experience in Spain where I went to Sevilla. It was beautiful, but during those 20 days, creative ideas were flowing to me so easily. Like, I would just be sitting on a train going somewhere, exploring a new city in Spain, and I would have this amazing, creative idea just pop up, and I would just jot it down. In fact, one of the first episodes that I started this podcast with was, I think it was 22 lessons I've learned when I turned 22, right? And I jotted down those lessons while I was in Spain, while I was on that train. So I just felt so much abundance, and I felt like everything was just flowing. It wasn't forced, it wasn't planned, and there was no perfect routine. It just happened. Now, I was just thinking about it, why did that happen? Why did that take place? I mean, it's important to reflect on that, right? So, in that flow, I think I felt completely aligned. It's because during those 20 days, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't trying to have a routine. Of course, I had classes and stuff, but I was allowing myself to explore. As I was saying, I allowed myself to completely just be there, be present, and be myself. And I just let things come to me. I kind of went with the flow. I went with what I felt like doing and not what I thought I should be doing. I don't know, if one day I decided, oh, I want to go and eat something yummy for breakfast, and yeah, it's not it's a part of my routine, and it's not I might have time for that. I'm still gonna do it. So I did. I went and I just explored and found this cute little bakery, and I would just sit there and enjoy my coffee and my little treat that was unplanned. It was unexpected, and it was just because I completely allowed myself to listen to my body and to go with what I wanted to do. And that whole experience, like after I came back, I remember thinking to myself that the only thing I wanted for that year was to make my inner child happy, was to put myself in a situation and have the mindset where my inner child was just allowed to be happy. And I think that's what led to some of the best experiences that I carried into my life here in America too afterwards. So I think that was amazing, and I think that caused me to realize that sometimes I just need to let go and just go with the flow of things. But to me, who has had perfectionist tendencies for so long, it can be so hard to actually bring into my life. So here's where it gets complicated. So let's talk about the other side of it, the prison of perfection. Because I've also experienced this for a majority of my life, for a big chunk of my life. Like I said, I've always had perfectionist tendencies, and those tendencies would show up in every area of my life, whether that be academics, my daily routine, my career, my friendships even, and even how I approach self-love and self-improvement, which is pretty ironic when I look back at it. I constantly wanted to be better. I constantly wanted to be better, do better, make myself a better version of myself, which is all good until it isn't. It's all good until it's just perfectionism in the disguise of self-improvement, which I think a lot of people do experience when they're on this self-improvement journey. And then there was also a layer of spirituality that was always in my life. Like, I always felt called towards spirituality and being connected to my higher self and my inner self. And that was a whole nother layer of someone who I wanted to be. But I think perfectionism has always been a big part of my life, and I think I'm just admitting to myself this now. Like, I don't think I've ever really admitted that to myself until today, where I really sat down and just thought about it, and I just jotted everything down however I was feeling, because I've been feeling a lot, guys. I've been going through quite a bit. Anyways, I constantly wanted to better myself and shift my identity in the most perfect way possible. There was always a better version of myself just around the corner, always another layer to optimize, another routine to master. And here's the irony: in chasing perfection, I was moving away from the very thing that I desired most, peace and the ability to completely surrender. And that's been a big theme in my life, and I have been talking about it in my videos, right? Like, how I've been wanting to surrender, how surrendering is perhaps the best thing that you can do for yourself. But am I truly even doing it? That's the question. And that's the question that we all should ask ourselves. Are we truly letting go? Are we truly surrendering to life? And then that goes into like the whole idea of surrendering and how I even got a tattoo. So the year I went to Spain, which is last year, I even got a tattoo. One word on my birthday: surrender. It's right here. Let me show you. It's right here. So I got it when I went to New York for my birthday last year. It was the year that I went to Spain, and I decided to get this tattoo because I'd been thinking about it for so long, ever since I went to that trip, ever since I went to Spain, because that is essentially what I learned from that trip, that it's so important to just surrender and flow, that I even got a tattoo. What's ironic is now I'm realizing that I feel like I'm not truly surrendering. Yeah, like, I've been talking about it. I've been telling myself that I am. I've been telling myself that I'm just embracing uncertainty. I'm going with it. But the question is, are you truly? There's so many things that we tell ourselves that we're doing that we sometimes truly aren't, and it's just important to admit to yourself that you aren't, and you're simply human and you're trying, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. So, that word surrender, what does it truly mean? So, like I said, for a long time I told myself I was surrendering. And honestly, in some ways I was. In some aspects, and for a period of time I was, right? There would be like periods of time where I would just think I was surrendering and I was just letting go and I was going with it. And even now, like, there's certain areas in my life where I think I am doing that. But in others, I still held on so firmly to the way I thought things should be. I had this image in my mind of what surrender looked like, and what peace looked like, and what the best version of myself looked like. And ironically, even my surrender had become rigid. It took me a very long time to understand that, even though I thought that was the best way to live and be in my body, that's not what actually felt best to my body, my mind, or even my soul. Sometimes what you think is best for you isn't what's actually best for your body, for your soul, and for your mind. And I think that's just another realization I've had lately. So, the real question is, how do you actually let go? And this is a question for myself, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys might be grappling with this too. So, how do you actually let go? It's easy to say the words, it's easy to get a tattoo, to talk about flow and presence and being authentic, but how do you actually live it? When every fiber of your being has been trained to control, to perfect, to be the best, to do the best, right? As a collective, and I feel like our generation, or just human beings, like society has always made it a point to, I don't know, have this vision for what your life should look like. There's so many you should be's, right? There's so many like you should be's from like other people, from even yourself in my case, and for many of you guys, I'm sure. But when can we just let go of the should be's and just be? When? Right? So the answer that I've kind of come to, I'm sure it's not perfect, is by breaking the cycle in small, tangible ways. Like, I'll give you an example of what I did today morning, because honestly, I've had a really rough week, and I felt like I was constantly rushing. I was not really slowing down, and honestly, I feel like I'm my best when I slow down and when I just feel and when I do things that I want to do, and when I flow with my body is when I think I'm actually my best self. So I've been the opposite of that this past week, and I just reflected on that. I've been just going to work every single day, having a big list of what I should be doing, a million things on my mind, just like running from place to place and doing these things, and sometimes pushing my body when all it needs is rest. And as a woman, like, being in a certain cycle of my period, for example, I need to listen more to my body and what it needs, instead of just pushing myself to do things, which I think is a very masculine idea, which, guys, it's a man's world, as they say. So society is going to push that onto you, but as a woman, it's really on you to know what feels best to you. And I think I'm currently learning how to do that. I have in the past, but it's just so hard to balance everything, you know? So anyways, coming back to the topic, I feel like I've just been so like overwhelmed and just rushing myself, where I haven't even gotten the proper time to eat a meal. And that's when I really had to stop and tell myself this, Shaylee, like, when are you going to stop? When are you going to take a break? And when are you going to make time for you to actually eat? the fact that I was doing that was just a sign that I really needed to pause and just take a moment, no matter what the cost may be, or no matter what my brain may be telling me. And that's another thing that I've been learning lately, is to like, my brain may be saying something, but it's important to tell my brain that no, to override it essentially and be like, no, this is not true, and you do not need to be doing this. It's okay. It's okay, and I think it's so important to tell yourself that. I do think this video is kind of all over the place, but it's all right, because that's what this video is all about, guys, right? And I am learning to do that, as you can see. So the way I broke the cycle today morning is today I had a day off from work. As you know, I work at Starbucks, and it can get really stressful. So what I decided to do today morning was be like, it's okay. Like, I don't have to follow my routine. I can choose to go and get myself breakfast, get myself a bagel, and eat it at like 11:30 instead of rushing, like eating my Greek yogurt and then going to the gym. It's okay. I'm gonna let myself do things that feel good to me today, right? And it's so important to give yourself that, because I think it's so easy to get caught up in the cycle of doing, in the cycle of just doing the endless list of things that you think you should be doing and that you're supposed to be doing, right? That it's so hard to take a break, to just take a pause and be like, it's okay. It's all right. Today I'm just gonna flow. Today I'm just gonna be. And that's what I'm aspiring to do currently. That's what's going on. And I think that maybe some of you guys can relate to this, because I think this is a very common phenomenon, and we don't even stop to realize how bad it's truly getting until we see signs of it, like I did, where I wasn't even eating proper meals. Burnout and fatigue are real things, and you cannot let creativity flow to you and flow through you if you're constantly caught up in these things. I've also just realized that my energy is the most important to me, because if my energy is not grounded, if I'm not grounded, and if I'm in this state of rushing and constantly doing the next thing, I don't have it in me to produce the things that I like to do the things that I'm passionate about, like making this podcast. I don't have the full capacity, the full energy to do it in the best way possible. So I've realized that is super important to me, and I'm gonna try and conserve my energy no matter what the cost may be, like I talked about in my last video. But yeah, so this is something else that I realized. Even wellness, spirituality, and caring for myself slowly became a set routine that I had to follow. The very practices that were supposed to let me be free became another checklist, another way to be perfect. Instead of flowing with my body and my life, I became rigid. So that is so ironic. That is so ironic, and I think we can all just laugh about it together. So the tools that meant to bring me peace became sources of pressure. Like, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I have to wake up extra early because I have to do my meditation. Why? Why does it have to be something that I have to do? Why can't I flow with it? I know it's hard, but I think that is what I need. I can't be like, if I choose to be like, I have to do this, I think that defeats the whole point of the meditation. So yeah, like, I'll be honest with you, even the fact that I felt like I needed a perfect script for today's podcast says everything, right? And this whole journey brings me back to something fundamental in the Bhagavad Gita, the concept of nishkam karma, or action without attachment to fruits. And that's one of the central topics of the Gita that we have talked about, but I just wanted to revisit it. So Krishna tells Arjuna, perform your duty, but surrender to outcome. Act with full engagement, but without clinging to how things should be. Yeah, this is for me. And I think I kind of understand. I won't say I fully understand it, but I kind of understand what it means to in a lived, embodied way. It's not about not caring or not trying. I think that would be the other extreme. Like, it would be the opposite of this. It's about releasing the death grip that we have on our idea of perfection. My time in Spain just showed me what it feels like to live in alignment, not because I was following the perfect routine, but because I had let go of needing one. My inner child was happy, not because everything was perfect, because I gave myself permission to just be. Yeah. The paradox of control, guys. The harder we try to control our path to peace, the further we get away from it. We think if we can just get the routine right, the mindset right, the spiritual practice right, then we'll finally arrive at that place of surrender. But surrender isn't a destination you reach through perfect execution. Surrender is what happens when you finally stop trying to execute perfectly. It's about choosing the bagel when your body wants it, even though the Greek yogurt is better. It's recording a podcast without a perfect script because the message matters more than the delivery. It's getting a tattoo that says surrender and then spending years learning what that word actually means, not in theory but in practice. This is all for me, guys, by the way. So here's what I want to give you guys to take away from this episode, and that's also to you, Shaylee. If you've been holding on too tightly to your routines, to your self-improvement goals, to your idea of who you should be, it's time to let go, my love, with love. Not with judgment, not with shame for being a perfectionist or for caring deeply about growth, but with compassion for the part of you that thought control was the answer. I honestly don't know exactly where this stems from for me. I know it has to do something with my childhood, which I will discuss in therapy hopefully down the line, but that's not the point, right? Your inner child doesn't need to be perfect. They need you to be present, to be playful, to flirt with life, to choose the bagel sometimes. True surrender isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to the flow of life, to the wisdom of your body, to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you don't have it all figured out, and that's okay. And when we do that, when we release our grip on how things should be, that's when the magic happens, like I think it did in today's episode. That's when creativity flows. That's when we feel most authentically ourselves. So, this is me practicing what I'm preaching. Recording without my usual script, choosing flow over perfection, choosing authenticity over what I should be. And I'm inviting you guys to do the same. What's one small way you can break your own cycle today? What's your version of choosing the bagel? Put it down in the comments and honestly just journal about it. Take 5 minutes and write it down, because you don't think you truly need it until you do it, and then that's when you realize that you needed it. Thank you for diving in with me today. This journey of surrender, it's ongoing, it's imperfect, and it's what I need and what you guys may need too. So I'm grateful to you guys for listening if you did till this point. I love you guys, and I'm just glad to be on this journey with you guys. I feel like this episode was so therapeutic for me, and I feel like I needed this, and I hope you guys feel the same way. I also feel really good after doing it this way, so it's working, guys. Anyways, like, share, and subscribe if you think that this may be relevant or helpful to someone that you know, maybe some of your loved ones. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great week ahead, and I'll see you next week. Just keep being you guys. Om Namah Shivaya.